Saving your first $10,000 can feel impossible. Not because $10,000 is an insane amount of money, but because when you're starting from zero, every unexpected expense feels like it pushes you back to the beginning. Your car needs repairs, your rent goes up, your phone breaks, a medical bill shows up, and suddenly, the $2,000 you worked months to save is gone. So you start thinking, maybe I just don't make enough money. But here's the part most people miss. The first $10,000 isn't only a money problem, it's a behavior problem. And once you understand why the first $10,000 is so difficult, reaching the next $10,000 becomes a completely different game. Imagine someone earns $4,500 a month after tax. On paper, that sounds like decent money, but then reality starts taking its share. $1,700 for housing, $500 for a car payment and insurance, $500 for groceries, $300 for utilities and phone, $300 for subscriptions, eating out, and entertainment. Another $400 goes toward debt and random expenses. Now there's only around $800 left, and that $800 isn't really $800. Because life doesn't follow a spreadsheet. One month, it's a $600 car repair. Another month, it's a birthday, then Christmas, then a medical bill, and suddenly that $800 becomes $200. This is why saving $10,000 can feel impossible. You're trying to build something permanent with money that keeps getting temporary jobs. The first milestone isn't $10,000, it's $1,000. And psychologically, this is one of the hardest milestones because $1,000 doesn't feel like wealth. It feels like nothing. But that's exactly why it's powerful. Imagine you have $0 in your savings account. Your car breaks down. You need $700. If you don't have savings, you have three choices: credit card, borrow money, or delay the repair. But now imagine you have $1,000 sitting in a separate account. The same problem happens, but your financial life doesn't collapse. You pay the bill, and you keep going. That's the first transformation. Your emergency doesn't automatically become debt. And that's what your first $1,000 really buys you. Not luxury, breathing room. This is where things start becoming interesting. Because once you have $1,000, you stop thinking, how do I survive the month? And you start thinking, how do I protect what I've built? Let's say you can save $500 every month. At that rate, $1,000 becomes $3,000 in 4 months. But something else happens during those 4 months. You begin learning how to live without spending every dollar you earn. That's important because saving isn't just an action, it's a skill. The first few months teach you something that a bigger paycheck can't teach you: how to control your spending. Then you reach $5,000. And this is where many people make a mistake. They see $5,000 sitting in their account and think, I can finally spend some of it. A vacation, a new phone, a better car, a bigger TV, a weekend trip. And there's nothing inherently wrong with spending money. The problem is when your savings become a reward for saving. You save $5,000, then spend $2,000. Now you're back to $3,000. Then an emergency happens. Now you're back near zero. And mentally, it feels like you've made no progress. This is why the first $10,000 requires something more important than discipline. It requires patience. You have to stop treating savings like money that's waiting to be spent. You have to start treating it like a foundation. Now imagine you finally reach $10,000. You look at your bank account. For the first time, there's a meaningful cushion between you and financial disaster. But here's what makes this milestone so important. You're no longer just reacting to problems. You're preparing for them. Your car breaks, you have options. Your company cuts your hours, you have time. You lose your job, you don't necessarily need to panic tomorrow morning. And that's the real value of $10,000. It gives you time. Money doesn't just buy things. Sometimes money buys you the ability to say, I don't have to make this decision today. Think, let's say you start with $0 and you save $300 a month. That's $3,600 a year. It would take about 2 years and 9 months to reach $10,000, ignoring investment returns. Now increase that to $500 a month. That's $6,000 per year. You reach $10,000 in about 20 months. At $750 a month, you're putting away $9,000 per year. Now you're getting close to $10,000 in just over a year. The lesson isn't everyone should save $750 a month. That's unrealistic for many people. The lesson is, you don't need a perfect financial life. You need a gap between what you earn and what you spend. And then you need to protect that gap. Part 7. Why earning more isn't always the answer. Here's where things get uncomfortable. Imagine someone gets a $600 monthly raise. You might think, great, now they'll save $600 more. But often, that's not what happens. The person upgrades their car, orders more food, moves into a more expensive apartment, gets another subscription, starts taking more expensive vacations. And 6 months later, they're earning more, but they're still saving almost nothing. This is called lifestyle inflation. Your income rises, and your spending quietly rises with it. That's why some people earn $50,000 a year and feel broke. And some people earn $100,000 and still feel broke. The problem isn't always income. Sometimes the problem is that your lifestyle grows faster than your wealth. So if you were starting from zero today, what should you actually do? not a complicated 47-step financial system. Just 4 things. Step 1. Build the first $1,000. Keep it somewhere separate from your everyday spending. Its job is simple. Protect you from small emergencies. Step 2. Find your monthly savings number. Maybe it's $200. Maybe it's $400. Maybe it's $700. The number matters less than consistency. Step 3. Automate it. Don't wait until the end of the month to see what's left. Move the money first, then live on what's remaining. Step 4. Increase the gap. When your income increases, don't automatically increase your lifestyle. If you get a $300 rate, maybe save $200 and enjoy the other $100. Now your lifestyle improves, but your wealth improves faster. $10,000. Here's something interesting. The first $10,000 isn't valuable because of the number itself. It's valuable because of who you become while building. You learn to delay purchases. You learn to plan ahead. You learn to handle emergencies without immediately reaching for a credit card. You learn that you don't need to spend every dollar simply because you earned it. And eventually, something changes. Saving stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling normal. That's when wealth building becomes much easier. Now let's say you've reached your first $10,000. The next goal isn't necessarily to sit on cash forever. Your priorities may change. You might focus on paying down expensive debt, building a larger emergency fund, contributing to retirement accounts, investing for long-term goals, or increasing your income. The exact strategy depends on your situation, but the psychological foundation is already there. You proved something to yourself. You can create money instead of constantly waiting for money to rescue you. And that's a much bigger achievement than the $10,000 itself. Ending. So if you're currently sitting at $0, don't look at $10,000 and think, that's too far away. Break it down. $1,000. Then $3,000, then $5,000, then $10,000. Your first goal isn't to become rich. It's to stop being financially fragile. Because once you have a little breathing room, you can make better decisions. And better decisions, repeated for years, are what eventually create wealth. The first $10,000 feels impossible because you're not just saving money. You're building a completely different relationship with money. And once you build that, the next $10,000 doesn't feel nearly as impossible. If you're working toward your first $10,000, remember this: you don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep moving forward. Subscribe if you want realistic, simple explanations about money, saving, and building wealth.